the weather forecast with Coloca and its multipurpose banquet hall, Il Palazzo.
Good evening, good people, and many thanks for joining us on this evening edition of the weather forecast. The weather will be quite calm throughout the national territory, with temperatures varying between 16 to 26 degrees. For instance, in the west, temperature will be 17 degrees in the Adamawa, 18 degrees in the far north, 19 degrees in the east, 22 degrees in the center, and 26 degrees in the littoral regions of the country. So make sure you dress appropriately throughout the night. Now, let's look at the map in greater details. Let's start with the south region, where the sky will be void of clouds throughout the evening. Same situation in the morning, with the town of Kribi having as low as 21 degrees. Now, to continue, let's go to the northwest region, where same situation, the sky will be void of clouds throughout the evening. Same situation in the morning, with the town of Wom having as low as 19 degrees. And then let's go to the north region, where there will be a surge in temperature throughout the evening. Same situation in the morning, with the town of Choleri having as high as 25 degrees. And then to end, before we go, I'd like to invite you to go and visit the Lagdo Dam in the Benue in the north region of the country. Thank you very much for watching this edition of the Weather Forecast. Goodbye.
Former champions Godlove GABSIBUIM and Karin TATAH emerged winners in the men and women categories at the 25th edition of the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope in Boya today. The Metropolitan Archdiocese of Bamenda receives its new pastor today in the presence of hundreds of thousands of Catholic faithfuls, where President Paul Biya was represented at the ceremony. Women have been making frantic efforts to acquire March 8 fabric. Reports say there is acute shortage of the cloth in the market. These stories and more right ahead. Good evening and thanks for joining us on the 7:30 News. I am Gladys Tata. Godlove GABSIBUIM and TATAH Karin are winners of this year's edition of the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope. Godlove GABSIBUIM won the race in the male category in 4 hours 35 minutes, while TATAH Karin won in the women's category in 5 hours 24 minutes. Our special envoy to Boya, Baldwin Sama, now has the highlights of the race in this report.
They came from 7 different countries, the over 250 athletes, with each having as ambition win this year's edition of the mountain race. Running through the different streets of Boya Saturday morning, the impressive turnout of Boya inhabitants encouraged the different athletes who started outsmarting each other around the governor's office roundabout. Several hours into the race, Godlove GABSIBUIM, 4 times winner of the race, emerged from the forest to lead the race, heading towards the Moliko Omnisport Stadium. The 32-year-old farmer ran past through different neighborhoods of Boya, encouraged by the ever-impressive turnout.
And here he is, Godlove GABSIBUIM, receiving applause from the population of Boya, Jean-Sylvain Gbese.
After 4 hours 30 minutes, Godlove GABSIBUIM emerged overall first in the male category, winning the race for the 5th time.
Last year I was third because you see the crisis in our region, it was too tough for us to train. So this time I know that things are still hard, but at least I struggle to work hard. Either I can still maintain what I used to do for the other years.
He was followed by Simplice Ndunge and Elvis Nsabila, 2nd and 3rd respectively. In the women's category, TATAH Karin, 2 times winner of the race, was simply outstanding as she confirmed her supremacy, imposing herself to be able to cross the finish line first in 5 hours 24 minutes.
I thank God Almighty for making it possible for me to win and for giving me the power to train. I did not even know that I was going to make it this year.
Special prizes were awarded to outstanding athletes as Jane Mary Ihims, with her song "We Are All Champions," spiced the closing ceremony of this year's edition of the mountain race.
As you heard earlier on, Godlove GABSIBUIM is the winner of this year's race. He's 32, a farmer and a father of 3, who has won the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope 5 times. TATAH Karin, who equally hails from the Northwest region, is winning the race the 3rd time in a row. Guy Roger Nana of CRTV Boya now profiles today's winners.
In athletics, there is time for everything. When God says it's yours, it's yours. These are the words of 22-year-old TATAH Karine, who is at her third victory in a row. Registering her first victory in 2018, she won in 2019, and this 2020, she carried the day in 5 hours 24 minutes, beating her 2018 record time by 2 minutes. Mildred Kitan emerged second in 5 hours 30 minutes. The 24-year-old student from GHS Kumbo hails from Noni in Bui Division. It is her first time to take part in the full race after 4 years as a relay athlete in the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope. In the men's category, 32-year-old professional bricklayer from Gwembe village in Ndonga Mantung, Noa subdivision, Godlove GABSIBUIM carried the day in 4 hours 35 minutes. The married father of 3 has been into athletics for over 15 years. A son of Lebialem from Mok village, Simplice Dunge, emerged second in 4 hours 37 minutes. The 44-year-old farmer and carpenter is married and a father of 3. Throughout his career as an athlete, he has participated in several races in Europe and America. Third in the men's category, 24-year-old Elvis Nsabinla from the Northwest region did the race in 4 hours 42 minutes. His first time in the League of the Winners. In the junior race, 16-year-old Saidu Abinda Modi, who is a Form 1 student of GSS Nchembuku in Noa, emerged first after 3 years of participation in the mountain race.
Today's race in Boya was marked by total mobilization, not only along the streets of Boya, but equally at the Molika Omnisport Stadium. Security measures were put in place to ensure a successful race. Bo Francis Ngo took interest on the side attractions of the race. Here's his report.
The first attraction as one reached the Molika Omnisport Stadium on this day of the mountain race was the exceptional deployment of the defense and security forces. They were there to dissuade any foul play. Inside, another battalion was getting armed for a successful live broadcast of the 25th edition of the Race of Hope. CRTV, in all its extensions, had brought out a huge arsenal to serve the nation. And of course, the stars of the day, the athletes, were getting their muzzles flexed with an eye on the trophy. But for these ones, even though the race had not started yet, at least they had already their trophy. This mole which shall certainly serve for dinner tonight. Meanwhile, the athletes were up the mountain. These skillful dancers offered a top-class entertainment for the thousands present. Meantime, the hostesses had to perfect the prize awarding ceremony with some simulations. Away from here, the first athletes were already descending the mountains, and thousands of inhabitants came out in their numbers on streets to cheer them up. The winners were hailed and offered trophies, but the less successful ones, well, they needed their pictures at least for a souvenir. After a successful event, highly attended and animated, a bowl of egusi soup and hot fufu plus a bottle of beer, why not, closed the day here in this roadside restaurant in the heart of the city of Boya.
And away from Boya, the 263-page document called The Golden Book of Cameroon Football has been prefaced by President Paul Biya. The involvement of the president in the publication of the book by the Cameroon News and Publishing Corporation illustrates his attachment to what many call the king sport. Charles Ebune looks at the meaning of President Biya's preface in The Golden Book of Cameroon Football.
A 60-year memory recounted in a golden publication with the preface authored by the political captain of Cameroon football, President Paul Biya.
I think it was quite normal that we publish such a book to, I would say, patronize, immortalize these young boys and girls.
Today we see women like not the same size, but on more level in like men.
Containing 15 chapters spread in 263 pages, the prefix by the president honors the football talents who have made the country proud through their exceptional collective and individual performances.
These guys, for years now, have done a lot for our country. You know, to win 5 Cups of Africa is not an easy matter.
Compiled by the Cameroon News and Publishing Corporation, the president's participation in the availability of this book to the Cameroonian people attests his incessant call for Cameroonians to see football as one of the pillars of national unity.
When we won games, there were no Anglophones, Francophones, or people, or we didn't feel like we came from different tribes.
At the book launch in Yaoundé, the speakers clearly underlined the football for nation-building policy through the prism of President Paul Biya as a collective heritage.
I think this is the moment. I want to talk of a historic moment for us to know what was done before. And I'm already prepared, I'm ready to read the book.
Through his preface in this text and picture publication, Paul Biya seems to remind the Cameroonian football family that they have just one word: continue.
The economic reconstruction of the Southwest region has begun, with President Paul Biya making available a financial package of over 21 billion CFA francs to keep palm oil plantation afloat. This move has been welcomed by the local population that mostly depends on palm oil for their livelihoods. Ashun Yangti tells us more.
It is a new dawn in palm oil plantations after 3 years of sluggish activities caused by separatist disorder in the northwest and southwest regions. The reconstruction of the southwest, proposed at the major national dialogue and accepted by President Paul Biya, has begun to bear its first fruits in palm oil, the economic life wire of Indian division that was hard hit.
This crisis has caused a considerable amount of damage to palm oil. We lost 2 tractors, we lost a lot of oil in Bai, we lost rubber. In the other estates like Lobe Estate, our factory was attacked.
Not anymore. According to the Director General of palm oil, President Paul Biya has understood and has immediately run to the assistance of this agonizing company with 8.5 billion francs for the construction of a new factory in Mondemba, 1 billion for the first phase of the Bakassi palm oil project, and about 12 billion francs CFA as tax and CMPS write-offs. This should be a life jacket to keep afloat and enable it to impact the lives of dependent communities. Smallholders who provide palm oil with 60% of its seeds, after months of uncertainty because of the halt in production, have now begun to smile again thanks to Paul Biya's largesse.
A few months ago, palm oil came up and at least wiped off our tears. Temporarily, we saw palm oil very much present in our area. We were producing crops and they were buying. It rekindled some hope in us that at least palm oil is back. And we have kept on praying that the government should continue to support palm oil so that because palm oil is the back wire of the economy of Indian division. As far as children going to school, as far as everything is concerned, it's palm oil.
I think palm oil is trying. They've been taking our crops just of recent. They pay.
The population of Indian division, to whom President Paul Biya has also provided free medical services, have also taken measures to perpetuate peace in the area.
They have been able to yield to the call of the head of state. A good number of the children who are in the bushes have dropped their arms. You can see for yourself the number of children who are in the DDR centers in Boya.
The action taken by President Paul Biya to provide financial assistance to palm oil will not only alleviate the plight of the populations, but will also enhance the economic standing of the unit that provides 1 out of every 4 liters of palm oil produced in Cameroon.
Some good news there, Ashun Yangti. And some 11,250 students of the University of Douala have started receiving their prizes of excellence for their brilliant results during the 2017-2018 academic year. The prize, worth 50,000 francs cash, is the usual gesture of the head of state to compensate the efforts of meritorious students in all state universities. Rosaline Fossa reports from Douala.
They are happy to see the academic efforts being encouraged, but the joy of these students of the University of Douala becomes more intense when the recognition comes from the head of state. President Paul Biya has once again extended his largesse to some 11,250 students who performed well during the 2017-2018 academic year, an initiative which officials of the institute say seeks to bring out the best in students.
This shows the attachment of the president to the university, youths and students. Knowing fully well the difficulties they go through, he has decided to reward the best as a means to recognize and encourage their efforts.
These laureates who came out massively to receive the 50,000 CFA francs cash this first day were directed to any of the 8 counters put in place to ease the distribution process. The smile on their faces accompanied their words of gratitude.
This is a sigh of relief. I will use this money to help my parents throughout the rest of the academic year.
I thank the head of state for this gesture. We don't have any difficulties to collect the money. Once you present the required document, you are saved.
The head of state's initiative kicked off since 2008 and has almost become a yearly rendezvous for students who stand out during the academic year.
I'll talk religion. His Grace Andrew Fuanya Keya has been officially commissioned as the Archbishop of the Bamenda Metropolitan Diocese with a call to use the attribute of St. Andrew to pray for the people of God within a context characterized by sadness and uncertainty. The call was made by the Apostolic Nuncio to Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea, Monsignor Julio Murat, as he installed the new Bishop of Bamenda appointed last December 30th by Pope Francis. Our special envoy to Bamenda, Kilian Dandifon, reports on the ceremony in which the head of state was represented by Territorial Administration Minister Paul Atanganji.
A cross-section of the Roman Catholic clergy in Cameroon, a Nigerian archbishop, traditional rulers and administrative authorities, prominent among them Minister Paul Atanganji of Territorial Administration, who represented the head of state Paul Biya, joined the Metropolitan See of Bamenda and other dioceses in the installation ceremony of His Grace Andrew Fuanya Nkeya as the 3rd Archbishop of the Cathedral in its 50 years of existence. His commitment is unequivocal.
I thank the Archbishop Emeritus, Archbishop Cornelius Fontem Eswa, for all the work he has done in this diocese. And I'm coming to continue this work as Jesus Christ has called us to do, as a successor of the apostle and a servant of the people of God in Bamenda.
Officiated by the Apostolic Nuncio to Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea, Monsignor Julio Murat, the appointment document, the papal bull, was read, followed by a reverence of loyalty by the pastoral staff to the new Archbishop, respected by his own.
We are happy that we have a man who is very dynamic, very fluent, very wise, someone who knows what to do at the right time. He is also a man whom I know has a very human heart, and he is a very likable person.
His Grace Andrew Fuanya Nkeya takes over the pastoral ministry of Bamenda Metropolitan Archdiocese from Archbishop Emeritus His Grace Cornelius Fontem Eswa, retired. Amongst the many gifts the new Archbishop received was a car.
The closing session of the National Communication Council of the February Twin Polls has taken place in Yaoundé. Members evaluated the just-ended elections, its coverage by different media houses and more. The final copy of the report on election coverage will be forwarded to the highest authority of Cameroon. Here now is an excerpt of the President of the National Communication Council, Peter Isoka. He spoke to our reporter, Emanuela Vemnioy.
And that's what we have been discussing, including some of the good and bad things that happened in the world of the media during the campaigns. Another area where we looked into was the non-apolitical nature of community radio stations, because we noted that a good number of those community radio stations went too political, and they left their normal thematic programs as they're supposed to be. Consequently, the final draft or the final project of that report will be brought out with some of those rough edges cleared, and certain proposals, if not resolutions and opinions, will be expressed, which we shall send to the hierarchy.
And on to one of our lead stories. Sales points for the distribution of the March 8 fabric are empty. The fabric is scarce and customer queues are long. Our reporter Beatrice Ngom visited some sales points and says the scarcity is due to low production capacity, yet officials at the Industrial Cotton Company of Cameroon are reassuring. Beatrice?
Newspapers and some TV and radio stations have headlined on it. Social media platforms have been used to express disgruntlement. The Women's Day fabric is in want.
They have asked me to come tomorrow. I cannot wait. I'm going to Akonolinga. There are no sales points there, so when they buy here, they resell there at even 10,000 francs.
At the Industrial Cotton Company of Cameroon, the shelves are empty. Notices give orientations on how the sales are done.
Distribution this morning is over. It's from 8 a.m. By 10:30 to 11 a.m., the fabric is finished.
Officials at the company say the company's production capacity can't meet the high demand, but however reassure on a steady supply beginning Saturday 22nd February 2020.
We are telling our customers that from tomorrow we will work non-stop. The fabric will be available. Women will march with their fabric.
To decongest the Kennedy sales point, other sales points for the fabric are dotted around Yaoundé. But again, conmen and tricksters have infiltrated the sector.
During March 8, everyone is in the business. Call box operators, phone dealers, all in the business.
The fabric cost 8,600 francs CFA and is distributed at the accredited sales points. So, city dwellers beware of people who buy and inflate the prices.
In prelude to the International Day of the Woman, the North-South Network of Female Entrepreneurs has organized a food fair and a forum on building entrepreneurship in Douala. At the two-day event chaired by the Secretary General in the Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Handicraft and Social Economy, women were trained on how to commercialize their local productions. Details with Beatrice Ngom.
They came from the diaspora to equip the women with skills in entrepreneurship. For 2 days, this network of female entrepreneurs from the diaspora, led by Marie Bujo Ngobikes, organized a forum where they trained women in Cameroon on the modern methods to use in the sales of their locally made goods. They also organized a food fair where these women showcased and consumed products made in Cameroon. Derivatives from different products, handiworks of the women, were displayed.
What I saw yesterday was wonderful, you know, for those who are still looking on what to focus on. I invite them to join the group next time. You learn so many things, how to have confidence in you, which is the key into entrepreneurship.
The North-South Network of Female Entrepreneurs partnered with the Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Handicraft and Social Economy for the organization of the forum and exhibitions.
Of the project that seeks to alleviate poverty in extremely poor and vulnerable communities in the country has been presented to North Regional authorities. Coordinators of the project revealed that about 7,000 households in Bandeka, Tuwara, Mandingring and Tuboro will benefit from the additional funds for the project provided by the World Bank, the Cameroon government and the French Development Agency. Tony Nanjongo has more from Garwa.
households in Bandake, Turua, Madinring, and Tuburu will benefit from additional funds of the project known as Social Safety Net that seeks to reduce poverty in vulnerable communities.
For the North region, we have three types of programs: ordinary and urgent cash transfers, as well as public works programs. We are in the region to present the first phase of the ordinary money transfer for the benefit of 7,000 households.
Looking at what had been done in the last phase of the project, North regional authorities and the project coordinators agree that there is a positive impact on the lives of beneficiaries who are involved in livestock farming and other income-generating activities.
What we've observed is that households use the money just as we've asked them to. Throughout, we've sensitized households to use the money to send their children to school, take the sick to the hospital, and to save up for income-generating activities.
Funds for the new phase of the project that will run till 2022 have been provided by the World Bank, the Cameroon government, and the French Development Agency.
Graduates of the third batch of the advanced program of specialization in public finance have been urged to be proactive and remain competitive in the job market. The call was made by the Minister of State, Minister of Higher Education, Professor Jacques Famdongo, while presiding over their graduation ceremony. Details with Romeo Kenyi.
These are the 94 graduating master degree holders from the advanced program of specialization in public finance. The laureates have undergone a 2-year training and are now poised to meet up the expectations of the job market.
This training is for me very important because it is an opportunity for the students like us to improve their capacity and to implement it in their different work.
This third promotion badge has as patron the Director of the National Treasury, Mo Sylvester Tagongo.
What I can tell to the laureates is to be always very proactive, very competitive, because they have knowledge, yes, but what is very important is the know-how.
We are actually in the context of public finances reform, and we need to have the expert. We have the master, the perfect master of what they have learned.
5 specialties were concerned in the program piloted by the Ministries of Higher Education, Finance, and the University of Yaoundé too.
The alumni of the Sacred Heart College, Makak, in the Nyong and Nkele division of the Central Region have resolved to revamp the image of the institution. The commitment was taken during their Cultural Week activities that equally saw the election of the new executive of the association. Gerard Nanji reports.
Sacred Heart College, Makak, that used to be the cradle of academic excellence in the Central Region and beyond, has until fairly recently been witnessing a downturn in both its enrollment and even infrastructure. It was in this light that its ex-students association met recently in Yaoundé to brainstorm on how to give a facelift to this once legendary college.
We need to see how to renovate certain structures like the bakery, the swimming pool, and other compartments. Pedagogically, we need to devise ways of making students come back to the college.
Considered as an institution where their educational umbilical cord was planted and which paved their ways to greatness, the alumni is poised to contribute to its rebirth.
When we were in college was very good. We have a lot of students. We have a lot of activities, but today, so we are trying to find strategies. How can we come back as before?
Christianed the batch of Ndebi Bia generation, the meeting also witnessed some sociocultural activities and the election of new executive of the association.
On our special page tonight, we'll take a look at a Cameroonian author and vice principal, Joshua Akemecha. He is also a member of the Cameroon Writers Association, who has published several books like Timeless Memories in 2015, and the most recent being True Friends and 6 Stories. The 147-page book unrolls a complex mix of indigenous stories. Our reporter Doris Are-Agbo read through the book for us. Her review.
True Friends and Sick Stories by Joshua Kemecha is a collection of short stories that holds one's interest and absorbs his attention unflaggingly to the end. With amazing ease, Joshua Kemecha broaches a variety of issues in his collection. It unrolls a complex mix of indigenous stories.
True Friends and Sick Stories is a collection of stories I wrote on various issues that concerns our society. It breaks across many things.
What mainly happens in the chapters recounts stories of friends, one which contains all the juicy Shakespearean tropes of ambition, greed and revenge, but beneath this high melodrama, it exalts love, forgiveness and reconciliation.
They condemn certain attitudes in human character, and they try to uphold the good attitudes, the good values.
Which is simple, and the subject matter compels both admiration and reading. It also meets the criteria of effectiveness of technique, readability, and artistic truthfulness. The book is neatly structured and presented.
It's for everybody. Anybody who can read and write, you can entertain yourself with these stories. You have a lot to learn from the book.
It is a must-read and a great practical book to help those who have someone to forgive.
Staff of the CRTV TV newsroom have celebrated their annual party. The ceremony took place last evening at a restaurant in the Bastos neighborhood. CRTV's Director General Shandongo was guest of honor and was accompanied by close collaborators. Cynthia Etim was also there. Here's her report.
They dropped their pens and microphones for a night to shake off and relax after the intense activity of an entire year. As a family, they communed together.
We know we are going to be very, very busy. That's why we took time, to rest a bit, to celebrate. We want to look behind us to see what has been done so far and to look forward also, because we still have many challenges.
Protocol was broken as CRTV Director General Shandongo, his close collaborators and special guests turned out en masse to be part of the fun. Satisfied with the coverage of major events in 2019 and others like the Twin Poles this year, Mr. Shandongo promised better working conditions for the newsroom staff. He reassured on the reinforcement of editing booths and the deployment of additional personnel for optimum results. Some newsroom staff due retirement soon and another recently retired were honored. Irrespective of grades, TV newsroom director, editors-in-chief, journalists and technical crew took to the stage and let their talent in music interpretation take lead. Others turned out to be good dancers as well.
When a time like this comes where you forget about journalism for a while and think about yourself and think about rejuvenating, enjoying, dancing and relaxing that mind, I think is good, because it's kind of lets you get off the stress of work, and then you kind of regain a new energy.
Besides the merrymaking, they also wined and dined as they took their appointment for the TV newsroom party next year.
And it is on this very good note that we draw the curtains on this edition of the 7:30 News. Do join Atta Badine Omar at 8:30 for the news in French. Tomorrow I'll be here again for another edition of the news. Until then, it's bye from all of us on the 7:30 crew. Good night.